Somalia, a land with one of the most strategic locations in the world. It sits right at the Horn of Africa, touching the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. For centuries, it has been a bridge between Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. But in today's world, this same location has turned Somalia into a new battlefield, not of war, but of influence. Two global superpowers, the United States and China, are competing quietly but powerfully for control and partnership here. The big question is, who really gains more influence in Somalia? Somalia's geography explains everything. It has over 3,300 kilometers of coastline, the longest in Africa, giving it access to vital sea routes where thousands of ships pass every year. Through these waters, goods move between Asia, Europe, and Africa. Whoever has influence in Somalia can observe, control, and even protect these maritime routes. That's why the Horn of Africa, including Somalia, Djibouti, and Eritrea, has become a magnet for global powers. The United States has had a long and complex history in Somalia. Since the early 1990s, Washington has tried to shape Somalia's security and politics. After the collapse of the Somali government in 1991, the U.S. sent peacekeepers, supported humanitarian missions, and later focused heavily on counterterrorism. Today, American drones operate from bases in Djibouti, just a short distance from Somalia's borders. Through the AFRICOM command, the United States monitors extremist groups like Al-Shabaab, conducts airstrikes, and provides intelligence and training to Somali security forces. Every year, millions of dollars in U.S. aid go to rebuilding Somalia's defense and political institutions. However, beyond the fight against terrorism, the U.S. has deeper interests. Somalia's location near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a narrow but crucial passage connecting the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean, makes it strategically priceless. By maintaining influence in Somalia, America ensures the safety of global trade, energy supplies, and its own military routes in the region. It's also about preventing rival powers, especially China, from dominating the Horn of Africa. China, on the other hand, uses a completely different strategy. Instead of focusing on military bases or drone operations, Beijing invests heavily in infrastructure and economy. Through its famous Belt and Road Initiative, China is building roads, bridges, ports, and government buildings across Africa. And Somalia is part of that vision. Chinese companies have been active in construction, telecommunications, and energy projects. In Mogadishu, many new buildings and development projects carry the mark of Chinese contractors. To many Somali leaders, China represents opportunity, a partner who builds instead of bombs. But critics warn that China's presence comes with hidden strings attached. Many African nations that took Chinese loans now face rising debts. Analysts say China's long-term goal is not only economic growth, but also political influence. By controlling infrastructure in key sectors, Beijing gains leverage over local governments. For example, in neighboring Djibouti, China built its first overseas military base, officially for logistics, but symbolically showing its expanding global reach. Somalia might not host a base yet, but the pattern is clear. Between these two approaches, the American military partnership and the Chinese development model, Somalia stands at a crossroads. Both powers speak of friendship, peace, and cooperation, yet behind the speeches both are carefully securing their own interests. The U.S. wants to ensure Somalia does not become a gateway for rival influence. China wants access to resources, trade routes, and diplomatic support in international platforms. This competition also affects the region as a whole. Neighboring countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, and Djibouti already host foreign troops, trade hubs, and ports linked to these global powers. The Horn of Africa has become a geopolitical chessboard where every move matters. En den dansen de breed, Andriander Chosker Slandbrijaniger Baidan, Dadiberger Anbi Iswi, Sur Andro Enri Bertam. The most valuable pieces on that board. For the Somali people, the situation is complex. They need investment, infrastructure, and stability, but they also need independence and self-determination. When foreign powers compete, there's always a risk that local priorities get lost. Somalia wants partnership, not dominance. It seeks allies who respect its sovereignty, not powers who see it only as a strategic point. So, who really gains more influence in Somalia? The United States still dominates in security and political affairs. Its presence through military support, diplomatic missions, and aid programs keeps it deeply connected to Somali governance. But China's influence is rising fast through economic power, business deals, and visible development projects. America leads with power. China leads with progress. Both win in different ways, yet the biggest question remains: will Somalia win too? If Somalia manages to balance both relationships wisely, it could benefit from investment, stability, and stronger global ties. But if it becomes too dependent on one side, it risks losing control over its own destiny. The future of Somalia will depend not only on what the US or China wants, but on how Somalia chooses to play its role in this global game of influence. The Horn of Africa today is not just a region, it's a strategic stage where history, politics, and power collide. Every decision made here echoes across continents, and as America and China move their pieces, the world watches closely. The game is on, but the outcome is still being written.